Officially, though, the only person up on the roof that day before 1:40 p.m. entry by the Lakewood PD was HVAC service person Chris Clark, document 745. He tells us that he was up there to fix a leak above the girls' locker room on the northwest edge of the building, although teacher Barbara Ann Hirokawa, document 5460, says she was told by one of the county maintenance guys that he was there to repair the dark room fan located above her photography class on the eastern side of the school. A lot of conflicting stories here. In his initial interview on April 20th, he told the investigative officers he was inside the school when the shooting broke out and that he ran up the custodian's roof access to escape. In a later, how would it go? Escape from the roof? In a later interview, he says he was already on top of the roof when the first shots were heard, and that he used the roof hatch in the hallway just north of the library. At any rate, he didn't see any shooters when he finally peers over the edge, nor does he mention running to the east side of the school, which is where people in the math science classes hear running and thumping sounds above them. Nichols, document 3907, Steele, document 2201, Morris, 1569, and Marr, document 2029. So they hear, in the math science classes, they hear running and thumping above them. So that would be the roof. Weird. Clark says he stayed put until a uniformed police officer pulled a van alongside the school, helped him off the roof by the north side of the school. Odd that he doesn't recognize his own service van, which DPO Wayne Depew commandeered with the keys conveniently in the ignition to rescue him. Odd, too, that no other police officers, first responders, saw this rooftop rescue taking place, including the ones that Depew says were with him at the time. Document 7990. What does this mean? Are people trying to implicate Clark here? That he was somehow involved or he could have been the shooter? And then pretended not to be and just an innocent maintenance man? Or did Eric Harris himself go on the roof, get some shooting done, even though officially that's nowhere in the official timeline? Or was it yet another shooter? Again, we don't know. It's kind of hard to say that all these students, police officers, everyone was hallucinating about a possible shooter on the roof throwing bombs. Weird. Final thought, DPO Gutierrez, document 8010, is on the west side of Columbine when he sees one student who jumped from the roof of the school building and apparently broke his hip. He tried to run but couldn't and began crawling. Gutierrez pulls him in the front seat of the patrol car, takes him and other students to triage. We never get his name. But if the story is true, we very possibly have a shooter who sustained an injury. Any guesses? Ha! Let's look at Gutierrez's account here because this is absolutely mind-shocking. So he's a first responder for Denver PD. His handwriting's actually not too bad. This is April 21st, 8:30 document. On this date of report, approximately 11:35, myself and Officer Romero of the Gang Bureau responded to Columbine High School on a call of officer and students being fired upon and calling for assistance. Upon arrival at the scene, we were told to go to the west side of the school building, as this is where all the gunfire was reported to be coming from. Myself, Romero, Sergeant Benton, and Sergeant Drajan responded immediately to this location. This area is where the school cafeteria and the school library are located. We immediately came upon 7 severely wounded students, some with devastating wounds, and female hit approximately 7 times, 1 male with a severe stomach wound, 1 female with her shoulder blown out. My concern was to get medical attention to the other people these people as soon as possible. We came under heavy gunfire at this time and took cover. After the gunfire subsided, 2 more police units pulled in and we began loading the wounded students into the back seats, and we were able to get all of them out to safety. Officer Tran Thomas and Jeffco Sheriff were instrumental in helping on this. Romero responded to the front of the school cafeteria area and deployed his AR-15 rifle. Officer Romero responded to the front of the school cafeteria area and deployed his AR-15 rifle. Officer Romero was instrumental in saving numerous students in this position. We came under heavy automatic weapons. Let me repeat that again for the coincidence theorists. we came under heavy automatic weapons fire again from the library area. And I did hear a dull explosion at this time. So are we to say that this individual, this EMT first responder, trains with police, are we saying he's too dumb to understand the difference between full auto and semi-auto fire? Or he'd be too, if he couldn't tell the difference, he would just put under fire like he did previously. Now he's stating at this point in time, they came under heavy automatic weapons fire. Okay. At this time, officers Drajan and Romero returned suppression fire as we had students running through the parking lot trying to escape. So in which direction is this suppression fire? So is he saying these officers are shooting into the library or the cafeteria or the roof, other areas of the school? How does suppression fire work? What is the official narrative here? That officers did not fire into the school? Drajan and Romero returned suppression fire as we had students running through the parking lot trying to escape. One student jumped from the roof of the school building and apparently broke his hip. He tried to run but couldn't and began crawling. Myself, with a Jeffco sheriff's deputy, drove to the edge of the parking lot, pulled him into the front of the police unit, and also put approximately 5 students in the back seat, drove off to a medical aid location. We responded back to our location and continued evacuating survivors out of the school throughout the day, now with the assistance of SWAT teams who were now on the scene. Let me repeat that again for the coincidence theorists. One student jumped from the roof of the school building. One more time. Just coincidence theorists are usually devout in their blind faith in official narratives. One student jumped from the roof of the school building. Now, was this student a shooter? Or was it someone who ran onto the roof, escaped, never been identified, no follow-up, nothing? Weird. I mean, this is a first responder, Gutierrez. This is not some kid with zero experience in the school. This is a professional first responder making this account. Just a lot of interesting statements there. They're under full auto fire from the library. Officers are returning and providing suppression fire. He doesn't state exactly where, but if they're under full auto fire from the library, where would the suppression fire to help them be shooting into? So are these officers shooting into the library where students are? I mean, obviously this is not an easy situation by any stretch of the imagination. It's bizarre, and there's a lot of unanswered questions. That's the point I'm making here. Interesting questions, follow-up posters here. Eric Sunday's friend Rusty sees 2 guys on the roof as he's driving out the parking lot. Back window, his car is shut out. Okay. The question here, were there any ballistic tests performed to see if it would have been possible for the bullet to have originated from where Eric and Dylan were at the time of this event? Or was the car located at a place where only a rooftop gunman would have reached it? Good question, exactly the type that bothered investigative officers and caused them to head another direction. If the evidence don't point at Harrison Klebold, I don't want to hear about it. There is no indication this lead was ever followed up on. So, very typical. I mean, I'm still reeling from Gutierrez's account. I mean, come on, this is a first responder making an official report. From all accounts, this is not his first day on the job. I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy.